Good morning. Welcome to IAS Help Desk. Today we are starting a new series named as Government Schemes Simplified, in which we will discuss about some important government schemes, their salient features, achievements, problems they are facing and the solutions. So hope it will be helpful for the civil services examination. Daily in the newspaper we read about some government scheme. So in the first video we will discuss what do you mean by government scheme, what are its types such as what are central sector schemes and centrally sponsored schemes, who executes the scheme and parameters that makes a scheme successful. So this video will give overall overview about the government scheme. So now moving to the first section, what is meant by government scheme. In a democratic system, people elect their representatives which forms a government and they work for the betterment of the society. So the government schemes are the programs launched by the government for improving the livelihood and providing security for leading a better life. So the government scheme can be in different sectors such as agriculture, industry or social sector. And in this series we will discuss important government schemes in each sector. From the given flowchart, we can see that the schemes are divided as central sector schemes, state sector schemes and centrally sponsored schemes. Central sector schemes are those schemes which are designed and funded by the central government, and it includes the subjects mentioned in the union list in the 7th schedule. Similarly, the state sector schemes are designed and funded by the state government, and these are on the subjects mentioned in the state list in 7th schedule. And the third category is centrally sponsored schemes. In this, the central government and the state government comes together to implement the schemes related to national development. Further, the centrally sponsored schemes are divided as core of the core schemes. It includes the schemes which are most important for the development of the society and for the social protection and social inclusion. So, if the government has fund, then maximum of the fund will move to these schemes, and it includes the schemes related to scheduled caste, schemes related to scheduled tribes, Manrega, etc. Next category of scheme is core schemes. These schemes comprise the national development agenda, and in which central government and the state government comes together, and the funding pattern is in 60:40 ratio. That is 60% of the funds will be given by the central government. However, for the special category states, the ratio is 90:10. Third category is the optional scheme, in which the states are free to implement or not to implement it in the particular region. And the funds for these schemes are allocated by the Ministry of Finance. The schemes under different categories are mentioned in the PDF attached, so a student can see which schemes belongs to which category. Now moving to the analysis part, in which we will discuss whether the centrally sponsored schemes are against the federal structure, why they are needed and what is the legal backing for it. As we all know that India is a federal structure in which the administrative powers of union and state government are mentioned in the constitution. And under the 7th schedule, the union list and state list and concurrent list have been designed, on which the subjects are mentioned in which the center and state government can work respectively. But centrally sponsored schemes consist of subjects which are mentioned in the state list, but the center and state government comes together for implementation of it. So now the question arises why they have been designed. In the federal structure, as mentioned in the constitution, the center has been given more revenue generation power than the state government. So the state government does not have that much resources to fulfill the subjects mentioned in the state list. That's why, due to vertical fiscal imbalance, central government has come to help the state government. So now what is the legal backing of it? And centrally sponsored schemes have been implemented via Article 282 of the Indian Constitution, which enables the union government to provide discretionary grants even beyond the respective legislative competence. That is, they can move beyond the union list or concurrent list which are related to the public purpose. That's why in the centrally sponsored schemes, the union and the state government comes together for the development of the society. Now the question arises, what are the parameters that makes a scheme successful? Every government scheme moves through a proper planning phase so that it should fulfill few parameters which are important for its success. So the first is it should be politically acceptable, that is the topic or the subject related to the scheme should be constitutional and legal. Second, it should be socially desirable, that is it should be beneficial for the majority of the people and not for particular class. Third, it should be technologically feasible and financially viable so that the wastage of money should be less. And last is it should be administratively doable. Administratively doable concept will be discussed in the next section. So, who executes the scheme? The trained and skilled officers, which consist of permanent executive, are assigned the task of implementing the policies. It usually starts with the government department being given the ownership for the implementation of the scheme. The department then draws a plan of action who will be responsible at the district level, village level, so that the scheme can be moved to the grassroots level, and which sections of the population will be provided the benefits, how it will reach to the people, etc. So the implementation of the scheme is mainly done by the permanent executives which are present at the central, state and grassroots level. So the scheme should be administratively doable, that is it should be feasible by the people to implement it. It means that a scheme should be realistic in implementation and it should not be based on some fancy parameters. So when the permanent executive, that is consists of bureaucracy, implements the scheme, what are the major problems they face? One is that the department responsible for the implementation of a scheme is responsible for other work also. So there is no clear demarcation with respect to how much time should be allocated where. And the second, the head of the department is liable to be transferred anytime. So it is not sure that if one of the head of the department is able to implement the scheme properly, then the next one will be able to replicate it. These are the major issues which our administration faces while implementing the scheme. So what's the solution for this? There should be review and monitoring process through which the management team is able to track the progress, receive and provide feedback at the right time. And it consists of defining the clear roles and responsibilities. That is, for any scheme to be successfully implemented, there need to be clarity about what need to be done, when need to be done, how it need to be done, and there should be proper accountability. The second is there should be proper monitoring of key performance indicators so that the progress of the scheme and the issues they are facing can be tracked properly. And third, it is regularly reviewing progress and giving feedback. That is, the top management should hold regular reviews to evaluate the progress of the department and provide feedback to the officials in the field so that the course correction and the further planning can be done. So these are the basic administrative actions which can be taken. For each of the scheme, there are different problems and different solutions that will be discussed in different videos. These are mainly the administrative problems which are being faced while implementing of the scheme. So in this video, we have tried to give an overview about the government scheme, their types and the parameters which are important while designing a scheme. The student can download the material from the link given in the description box. In this, we will follow 5W plus 1H strategy to cover the scheme comprehensively. Now, first of all, what is sanitation? Swatchh Bharat Abhiyan revolves around the concept of sanitation. Sanitation is the maintenance of cleanliness at personal and public level to remain healthy and dirt-free. That is, the process of keeping the places free from dirt, infection, disease by removing waste, garbage, etc. In the Indus Valley civilization, sanitation and drainage was the major part in the town planning, and sanitation was also considered as virtue in all cultures. Yet the sanitation level in the nation was very low. To overcome the situation, government has launched Swatchh Bharat Abhiyan. So now moving to the first W, that is what? What is Swatchh Bharat Abhiyan? It is a nationwide cleanliness campaign launched in rural and urban area separately. The urban area is managed by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, whereas the Grameen area is managed by Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. It includes construction of household-owned, community-owned toilets for the elimination of open defecation. Open defecation causes many health hazards such as diarrhea, typhoid. The next part is it includes eradication of manual scavenging. Manual scavenging is the cleaning of human excreta from sewers manually. So it also tries to eliminate this practice because it causes health hazards to the people involved in it. Next it is solid waste management, and the last is behavior change. We will discuss both these later. So it was launched on 2nd October 2014 to mark the tribute to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi on his 150th birth anniversary. Now the question arises why it has been launched. Since independence there has been many government programs and schemes for the maintenance of sanitation and hygiene in the area, such as Central Rural Sanitation Program was for rural sanitation. Next there was Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan in 2012. Even after these schemes, the sanitation coverage in India was 39% till 2014. And about 55 crore people in rural areas were without toilet facility. There were many health hazards related to it. That's why the government has launched Swatchh Bharat Abhiyan to improve the sanitation coverage in India. Now, who are the stakeholders? The government ministries and government machinery which implement the scheme, citizens of India which are the main beneficiaries as well as the participants in it. Next is individuals and philanthropists who contribute for the Swachh Bharat Kosh, that is the funding mechanism for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Then the special cleanative initiative have been taken for the heritage and cultural places. So all these can be included in the stakeholders. Now moving to the achievements of the scheme. Till April 2022, 11.5 crore individual household latrines have been constructed in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Gramin. And according to National Annual Rural Sanitation Survey, around 99.6% of the households who have access to toilets have availability of water, and 95.2% of rural population who has access to toilet are using it. Secondly, 1,14,000 villages have become ODF+. ODF+ means they are maintaining the status of open defecation free as well as maintaining the solid and municipal waste. Next, in the urban areas, few cities have certified the 5-star cities and few cities have earned the status of 5-star garbage free certifications. So these are the achievements of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So now the question arises, what are the reasons for its success when compared with the previous schemes? In the last video, we have studied few parameters that makes the scheme successful. So first is socially desirable. So the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan worked on the community participation so that the benefits can reach to many people and it should be accepted by the people because it mainly works for the sanitation. Secondly, the Prime Minister himself have become communicator in chief and involved the famous personalities from each sector which have acted as role model. So all this make the scheme socially desirable and people have participated fully in this, and the volunteers have been known as Swachhgaris, and the concept of sanitation was linked to human values and dignity. That's why the community participation has become huge in this, and also it led to behavior change. Second, there was proper funding mechanism. The proper Swachh Bharat Kosh was formed in which the philanthropists and the individuals can contribute for the scheme. Secondly, the scheme was delinked from the Manrega, so it led to better efficiency and better implementation mechanism. It geotagged the toilets formed so that the maintenance of them can be made and the proper monitoring channel can be formed. And the last is administrative mechanism. So it led to the capacity building at the institutional level. So it led to the coordination among center, state and the local level. Further, the state has been given the independence to adopt the strategy and approach for implementation of the scheme. And the schemes which get successful and the best practices which get successful were shared with other states so that they can implement it. In this way, the administrative mechanism was formed. So all these makes the scheme successful as compared to the past schemes related to sanitation. Now moving to the social and financial impacts. 55 crore people changed their behavior. There was reduction in water and sanitation related diseases such as diarrhea, malaria, etc. Child health and nutrition have improved, and also there was reduced time lost from sickness and seeking a place for open defecation. So it led to social and financial impacts also. But now the question arises, what are the challenges the scheme is facing to make it sustainable? So the first is sustainable behavior change, because even at few places the toilets have been formed in the houses, then also people prefer to move out for defecation. Secondly, due to cultural practices and the religious practices, people do not prefer having toilets in their homes. Sustainable behavior change is a serious challenge for this scheme, because even after the formation of the toilets and having the water facility, if people are not using it, then the whole purpose of the scheme will fail. Second, Standing Committee on Rural Development has raised serious question that there is usage of low quality of raw material for construction of toilets. Further, there is lack of water facility, and in the rural area mainly there is lack of waste segregation. So it creates roadblock for solid waste management. Further, the 15th Finance Commission stated that the scheme is mainly for the BPL and selected households above the poverty line. So in this, there are errors in finding the BPL households, and that's why it has recommended the universalization of the scheme for 100% ODF status. Further, the Standing Committee on Urban Development has noted that there is very poor quality, lack of maintenance in the toilets in the urban areas. So these are the challenges according to the experts and reports. The PDF of the reports have been given in the description box. So now the recommendations of the World Bank. World Bank has recommended for the maintenance of sustainable sanitation. That is, for the sustainable sanitation, there should be complete fecal sludge management. There should be no entry of the excreta in the sewers and septic tanks, and there should be reuse of wastewater. Plus, there should be behavior management. So World Bank has recommended building political will and administrative commitment by addressing key institutional bottlenecks and formulating a state-specific operational guidelines. Then they have focused on the technology part, so that the technology can be used for wastewater treatment and for the disposal of solid waste. And the third is focused on capacity building of the institutions, so that their proper coordination can be there. Now the government has launched Swatchh Bharat Abhiyan Phase 2 for the Grameen. It will be implemented from 2020-21 to 2024-25, and the focus is on sustaining the ODF status and solid and liquid waste management. Because as you have seen, according to the Standing Committee on Rural Development, maintenance of ODF status and solid and liquid management is major issue in the rural areas. And in the urban areas, the focus is on making it garbage-free cities and improve used water management. So now moving to the definitions which I have given under the Phase 2. First is, what is ODF? A city is notified at ODF at any point of the day. Not a single person is found defecating in the open. So it is simply the ODF status. Then ODF plus is if not a single person is found defecating and all community and public toilets are functional and well maintained. So the concept of ODF plus maintenance of the toilets are linked. And then the concept is ODF plus plus. It adds the condition that the sewage is safely managed and treated and are not discharged in the drains, water bodies or open areas. Next is the Water Plus. It aims to provide a guideline for cities and towns to ensure that no untreated wastewater is released into the environment, and thereby maintaining the sustainability of the sanitation value chain. So the definition of these are important exam point of view, mainly for the prelims. So with the use of 5W and 1H technique, we have tried to analyze the Swachh Bharat mission. The students will like the video.
Hello friends, welcome back to our channel IAS Help Desk. Today we are going to discuss one more important topic, and that too from mains perspective, food security in India. This topic is important for GS paper 3, where you can directly get the topic. And here once again we are starting with this previous year questions. So we have given some previous year question. So वैसे तो बहुत सारे थे, but I chose some of them, where first question you can see it is directly mentioned National Food Security Act. In second, it's how it is indirectly related, and third one also. So we'll discuss this at the end of our video. So let's begin with what is food security and what are the different aspects of it. So according to World Food Summit 1996, the definition was given. So the definition of food security is when all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Also, it involves strengthening the livelihood security of all the members within the household. And how? By ensuring physical and economic access to balanced diet, which also includes essential micronutrients, safe drinking water, clean environment, basic healthcare, and primary education. So, as we can see, that a much broader aspect is covered under food security and not just ensuring the availability of subsidized food, जो कि बहुत लोगों को ये ऐसा लग सकता है कि फूड सिक्योरिटी का मतलब सिर्फ फूड से ही रिलेटेड अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फूड एंड एक्सेसिंग फूड, बट यहाँ पर फिजिकल ensuring physical and economic access. फिजिकल एक्सेस कहने का मतलब ये है कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि यहाँ से हमें 50 किलोमीटर दूर जाना पड़ रहा है उसको एक्सेस करने के लिए. इट शुड बी इकोनॉमिकली एक्सेसिबल, यानी कि हमारे बजट में होना चाहिए, एक पर्टिकुलर रेट पर, सब्सिडाइज रेट पर हो, ताकि वो सबके बजट में हो. Also, it includes environmental sanitation, which might not come into our head most of the times when we are doing prelims questions and objective type of questions. And now we will see that food security is built on three pillars. That is, how do we ensure food security? So it is done on the basis of three core pillars. And those are food availability, food access, and food use. So as we can see, the ultimate objective of food security is to ensure all people at all times have both physical and economic access to the basic food they need. Now let's see what is the current situation of hunger and nutrition in India. So how do we measure hunger? So we can do a comparative study with a better condition or with those countries who are doing good and managing well. So for this, we have Global Hunger Index. And this index, it has four parameters or indicators, you can say, on the basis of which it recognizes the country who is doing good or who is not doing good. That is, and those indicators would be undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. So अच्छा, चाइल्ड वेस्टिंग का मतलब होता है कि वो बच्चे जो अपनी हाइट के हिसाब से अप्रोप्रिएट वेट में नहीं है. So as we can see, out of 121 countries, India ranked 107, which is even worse than some of our neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So here we have given some data. You can see here some important facts which we should actually remember. Also, India has shown improvement in child stunting, which has declined from 38.7% to 35.5%, and improvement in child mortality, which has also dropped from 4.6 to 3.3%. And what is child stunting? So, child stunting is basically who is too short for his or her age and is the result of chronic or recurrent malnutrition. So, you can say that child stunting is a contributing risk factor to child mortality and is also a maker of inequalities in human development. Now, let's see some of the government initiatives to combat food security. So first would be new integrated food security scheme. So by the name it suggests it has been integrated. Antyodaya Ann Yojana and Priority Household scheme. These two have been integrated so that it has the bandwidth of the scheme has increased. Also, it will have a better accessibility, affordability, and availability. So here we have discussed the scheme in detail. You can go through the scheme in our PDS, which will be uploaded on our website. And the scheme, it will provide free food grains, and that will concurrently ensure uniform implementation of portability under one nation, one ration card. Acha, I hope everybody knows what is one nation and one ration card, and I'll just give you guys a brief of it. So it is a national ration card that will enable migrant workers and their families to access the PDS, that is public distribution system benefits from any fair price shop across the country. So in this, migrant workers are also included, which was not there earlier. पहले क्या होता था कि अगर आपका राशन कार्ड किसी एक पर्टिकुलर जगह का है तो आप बस वहीं से एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, अगर आप किसी दूसरे स्टेट में हैं तो आप वहाँ नहीं एक्सेस कर पाएंगे. Now it is, you being a migrant, you can also show your one ration card to any of the state, and you can access the subsidized food. So basically, what will happen is the existing ration card will turn as one nation, one ration card, and it will be a universal ration card allotted to each beneficiary registered under NFSA. So using this, a beneficiary who migrates from one place to another can buy subsidized food grains from the fair price shop located in the destination city and all. The beneficiary will be identified through the biometric authentication or electronic point of sale. So these are the details that you can go and check for this one nation and one ration card characteristics. So now let's move on to National Food Security Act. So what is National Food Security Act? So this act, it provides for the coverage of up to 75% of rural and up to 50% of the urban population for receiving highly subsidized food grains under targeted public distribution system. And the beneficiaries under the National Food Security Act, they fall into two categories of first priority households and Antyodaya Ann Yojana households, and each of which is entitled to 35 kg of food grains each month, that is 5 kg per person per month. So wheat costs rupees 2 per kg, rice is rupees 3 per kg, and coarse grains it's rupees 1 per kg. Now, I'll just tell you the significance of this food security in a very brief sentence. Like, as we all know that food security is an utmost importance to a nation. Also, the concerns regarding food security in India, it can be traced back to the experience of Bengal famine in 1943 during British rule, and therefore we will also have a positive influence on the other aspect determining the growth of a nation. So the first significance I would like to highlight is food security. It boosts the agriculture sector, and then it also aids the government to regulate food prices. And then there will be a boost in agriculture sector that would result in more job opportunities, as agriculture is a labor intensive sector. So this would enhance economic growth and as a result in the reduction of poverty. Also, there will be access to nutritious food that would enhance the overall health of the public. Also, food security is an important aspect for the global security and stability of the nation. And our next scheme would be midday meal scheme. So we have all heard about midday meal scheme. It is a centrally sponsored scheme and it was launched in 1995. Also, it is the world's largest school meal. I'll tell you one of the objective of midday meal scheme is to address hunger and malnutrition and also ensuring food security. Now there is one Poshan Abhiyan. So this was launched by the government in 2018, and this Abhiyan, it targets to reduce stunting, undernutrition, anemia among young children, women and adolescent girls. Also it has various other targets. I'll not give you so much of burden of by giving so many facts and figures and details. So also it aims, Poshan Abhiyan aims to ensure service delivery and interventions by use of technology, behavioral change through convergence and laydowns of specific targets to be achieved across different monitoring parameters. And now we have Zero Hunger Program. So this program, it was launched on 16th of October 2017. आप लोग अगर नीचे कमेंट करके बताएं कि 16th of October को हम लोग क्या डे सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. There is a particular day and that might be asked in one of your prelims question also or interview में भी पूछा जा सकता है. So you guys can comment below, the answer of which I'll be telling you at the end of my video. So yeah, the program Zero Hunger program, it aims at making farm interventions and also it incorporates organizing the farming system for nutrition, setting up genetic gardens and initiating zero hunger training. Now let's see what are the challenges of food security. So before seeing what are the challenges, I'll just tell you, so why are these challenges? So first, the reason behind these challenges would be unavailability of food, यानी कि appropriate amount में, सही मात्रा में फूड ग्रेन्स का ना होना, और अगर सही मात्रा में है भी तो लोगों के क्षमता के बाहर होना, यानी कि उनकी कैपेसिटी के बाहर होना ताकि वो उसे अफोर्ड कर पाए. So basically there are two reasons for these challenges. First is unavailability of food and second poor purchasing capacity. And then we have a challenge of food safety where concerns particularly for the urban poor and migrants is seen, where food is contaminated or infectious or it is like undertreated, poor waste management and poor environmental sanitation. So everything, all these things lead to insufficient hygiene where improved nutritional status is completely lacking. Though the government has targeted schemes and programs for women and children, but still there is a challenge of poor nutrition to women and children because these are particularly the disadvantaged sections in our society, and the vulnerability increases by growing feminization of poverty and agriculture. And yes, this is the major challenge, that is identification of beneficiaries, where the statistics are not correct and there is significant inaccuracies in the removal and inclusion of households that are below poverty line. And then the next challenge is the concerns related to rising subsidy and financial burden. So there are concerns that have also been raised about the system's viability from a financial standpoint. So the act's increased grain procurement, associated expenses, and other variables are expected to cause the food subsidy to expand steadily. Now let's see what could be the recommendations to ensure a proper food security in our country. So first would be educate farmers. Yes, by educating farmers, we can increase their awareness regarding agricultural and allied activities. Also, new scientific techniques that is available for them to learn that how cheaper prices can make their life easier so that their production also increases. And new and adequate means of soil testing that is now available in market. Also there should be efficient fertilizers use, and this is something that should be taught to our farmers, which can also increase the nutrient content in our crop, and which would further help in achieving not only food security but also nutrition security. And then there has to be some support for crop failure and risk management services should be there, so that there should be some expenditure and subsidies which should be made by the government so that this can lighten up the burden of farmers in their risk management. And then one another aspect would be expansion of the storage capacity of state food corporations. So not only just expansion but also at the same time ensuring that there is no pilferage or there is no infestation from insects, Also, avoiding the generation of buffer stocks that which would go wasted. And once again, the another important aspect would be the transportation system. So the efficient use of transportation means of transportation like railways, roadways, or waterways in order in just to increase the efficiency and on time delivery of commodities. And then ensuring that women and children are getting their adequate nutrition. And then we can strengthen the public distribution system, strengthening by decentralization, जिसकी वजह से जो एक steadiness आ जाता है हमारे distribution में वो उसे हम लोग cater कर पाएंगे. Also will having a longer supply chains. And then the number of fair price shops which are economically viable and well equipped, that shall be increased by each state rather than just providing license to the distributors. So yes, we have come to the end of our video, and the things that we have learned through this discussion is food security is when people are able to afford and secure sufficient quantities of nutritious food for their families. Also, food security in India is essential for poor, and food security is required in country because more than a quarter of Indian population is living below poverty line. So, after discussing this topic, let's see that how we can utilize this knowledge and how we can incorporate these points into our mains questions. Because in the first question itself, you can see it's directly given that National Food Security Act. So, by this, you can just make out what are the features and what are the drawbacks, whatever it is going to ask. But apart from that, the rest of the two questions, where it is asking the major challenges of public distribution system in India and how it can be effective and transparent. Also, what are the reformative steps taken by the government to make food grain distribution system more effective? So, more or less, both the questions are same, but these two are in two different years, and both are asking about how to make it effective and more transparent. So before we move on to this, let me tell you the question that I asked you in the beginning itself, and I hope you guys have commented. So the 16th of October is celebrated as World Food Day to commemorate the date of the founding of United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization in 1945. Now let's see the second question, where it says what are the major challenges of public distribution system in India, and how it can be made effective and transparent. So the rest of the things that you have to include about public distribution system, I'll tell you that how food security part that you have read just now can be included into this answer. So first, you will be writing what is public distribution system. So PDS is an Indian food security system established under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. And then we'll link it to saying that with coming of the National Food Security Act, providing for the right to food as a legal entitlement by providing subsidy or subsidized food grains to nearly two-thirds of the population, PDS has expanded exponentially. So here you are giving a positive feedback that due to National Food Security Act, there has been a positive change or growth in public distribution system. So I hope you like our video, and please find the PDF on our website. We'll be uploading the PDF there. And thank you so much for your time and patience. Hello friends, welcome back to our channel IAS Help Desk. Today we are going to discuss about Ayushman Bharat Yojana, and this topic is important from mains perspective, especially GS paper 2, where we study about the government schemes and different policies for the vulnerable sections. Also, we are going to analyze one or two some previous year questions just to have an idea that how we can approach towards such kind of government schemes and topics. So let's begin our discussion. So these are the aspects that we are going to cover during our discussion. So firstly, we'll be seeing that is what is Ayushman Bharat Yojana, components of the scheme, along with who are the beneficiaries of this scheme, why it was launched, what is the current status of the scheme, and what is the possible challenges that what are the possible and in fact what are the present challenges that the government is facing right now in the implementation of the scheme, along with the solutions and the way forward. So firstly, let's see what is Ayushman Bharat Yojana. So Ayushman Bharat, a flagship scheme of Government of India, it was launched as recommended by the National Health Policy 2017 to achieve the vision of universal health coverage. So what is flagship scheme? Flagship scheme का मतलब होता है those government schemes which are most important and schemes that address major national concerns like schemes on health, education, environment, etc. So we can say that government जब किसी scheme को priority देती है to achieve certain social objective, it is called as flagship scheme. And so this Ayushman Bharat Yojana, it was recommended by National Health Policy in 2017 in the context of achieving universal health coverage. Now, universal health coverage क्या है? इसका मतलब क्या है? So, when all people will have the access to the full range of quality health services that they need without any financial hardships. यानी कि सभी सिटीजन्स के पास जब एक क्वालिटी यानी कि बेहतर हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज उनके पास मौजूद होंगी और वो भी तब जबकि उनके बजट पर, उनके पॉकेट पर, उनके पर्स पे बहुत ज़्यादा बर्डन ना पड़े. And now let's see what are the different components of this योजना. So components का मतलब होता है कि what are the different parts or what is a scheme is comprising of. So the first component of this yojana is health and wellness centers. So creation of health and wellness centers by transforming the existing sub-centers and primary health centers. And then deliver comprehensive primary health care. Comprehensive कहने का मतलब है कि having a complete approach, complete यानी कि not only during the treatment, also from the process of preventing the disease or any illness to the person from after being cured, यानी कि ठीक होने के बाद भी उसके इंश्योरेंस से रिलेटेड या फिर उसके बाकी मेंटल हेल्थ सर्विसेज हो गए बाद में और पहले भी. So mental health services as a preventive measures भी आता है. So giving a holistic approach to healthcare services. And then cover maternal and child health services and non-communicable diseases, including free essential drugs and diagnostic services. So this was component 1. And then component 2, it comprises of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So this provides a cover of 5 lakh per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization across public and private empaneled hospitals in India. So it is largest government funded, in fact it is one of the largest government funded health insurance scheme in the world. So the scheme offers eligible families an insurance cover of rupees 5 lakh per annum per family. Also, the amount is intended to cover all secondary and most tertiary care expenditures that is incurred. Also, there is no cap on family size and age under the scheme to ensure that nobody is left behind. So the cover will include pre and post hospitalization expenses, and it will also cover all pre-existing conditions. And along with all these things, the beneficiary will also receive defined transport allowance per hospital, and the beneficiaries, they can take the cashless treatment from any empaneled hospital anywhere in the country, and this includes both public and private hospitals as we have seen. So by default, all government hospitals in the states that are implementing the scheme will be empaneled. So, who all are the beneficiaries as per this Ayushman Bharat Yojana? So, they are economically vulnerable sections of society, including deprived rural families and identified occupational categories of urban workers' families. And now let's see the different aspect of this Yojana, that what was the need, that why Ayushman Bharat scheme was launched. So, as per Health Financing Profile 2017 by World Health Organization, the healthcare out of pocket expenditure in India was estimated at approximately 67.78% of the total health expenditure, which is higher than the world average of 18.2%, indicating a high expenditure which leads to the high incidence of catastrophic expenditures and inequality. So, depending on the level of care required, healthcare in India is broadly classified into primary care, secondary, and tertiary healthcare. So, the high level group on health sector and the report of 15th Finance Commission on Ayushman Bharat that have observed that focus on prevention and early management of health problems can reduce the need for complicated specialist care provided at the tertiary level. So it recommended that the focus of healthcare provision in the country should be towards providing the primary healthcare. Further, the National Health Policy 2017, it indicated that the need to increase public healthcare spending in India is high because it's due to the rising demand for healthcare infrastructure and services and also out of pocket expenditure. So, to improve the public's access to health services and meet the rising demand for healthcare infrastructure and services, the government introduced this Ayushman Bharat scheme. So, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, it can probably be helpful for chronically ill patients from lower socioeconomic strata requiring frequent hospitalization or expensive procedures such as dialysis. And also, it can incentivize the existing secondary and tertiary care public health facilities by infusing more insurance claim money. So, in the long run, of course, the scheme has the potential to enable the growth of the private sector in second and third tier cities, thus giving a rural Indian people having more choices. Now let's see the other aspect of the scheme, that how the scheme has progressed till now or how the scheme is doing in its current status. So with the launch of this Ayushman Bharat scheme, it has been the most extensive government funded healthcare scheme and catering to the medical needs of lakhs of people in the country. So, the scheme has proved to be the most effective healthcare scheme, and it also aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals. So, thereby contributing to the welfare of the entire country. And as we saw, it has two components like health and wellness centers along with Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So, these two components, they are doing well enough for the welfare of the vulnerable sections. Also, here are some data that we have provided which can make your answer look more authentic and that can give an edge to your answer. So let's see the last point that has been mentioned here, that under the e-Sanjeevani teleconsultation platform, more than 9.3 crore teleconsultations have been provided through functional health centers at this hubs, and it comprises of certain and certain spokes and numbers across the country, and it was on 17th of January 2023. So basically I just wanted to give you a brief about what is teleconsultation. So teleconsultation, it is one of the application of telemedicine, and it uses IT to facilitate communications between a patient and a doctor who are otherwise geographically separated. So what is telemedicine now? As per WHO defines, so telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor by all healthcare professionals using information technology for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease and injuries, research and evaluation, etc. So, these all in the interest of advancing the health of individual and their communities. So, all these aspects, it has added it has added to the progress of Ayushman Bharat Yojana. Now, let's look into the aspect that what are the challenges in implementation of this scheme. So, the first would be the decentralized and inequitable implementation. So by this we mean that while Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is a national initiative, its implementation is fully delegated to the states. And with no overreaching mechanism to address the resource gaps, so the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, its enrollment and service utilization are concentrated in wealthier states only, while the poorer states are left behind. And then the next one is unbalanced provider quality and empanelment. And by this we mean that the lack of public infrastructure and low quality public health care that have been long standing problems in India. So, according to the recent study that has been seen, the number of private hospitals in health insurance network in Bihar has 253, whereas in contrast in Maharashtra it's more than 3000 private hospitals in the network. So under Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, states are with higher poverty rates and disease burden, see less empanelment and accreditation of hospitals. And the next challenge is portability. So Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, it allows portability of benefits across the states. So the relatively better treatment facilities available in the better performing states of the country are likely to attract more patients from states with inadequate facilities. And then the lack of resources. So the country is beset with deficiencies in the resources available to fund healthcare. The skilled workforce and the infrastructure available to provide care and oversight of healthcare provision. Also, the private providers have become the dominant provider of care in India, and thus the UHC is unlikely to be achieved without engagement with this sector. UHC means that universal health coverage. So the profit motive that drives the behavior of these providers, however, has led to the concerns that services may be encouraged to sometimes that act against the public interest. And then we have poor regulation on private hospitals. So the regulation and oversight of private providers in our country is often poor. So the private providers more frequently deviate from the evidence-based practice, and they have poorer patient outcomes and are more likely to provide unnecessary testings and treatment. And also the data that do exist from India have mirrored these findings. So these can be substantiated. Also, the corruptions at all levels of the system, from doctor training of investment to investment decisions, remains a major issue. Then the next major challenge is poor budgetary allocation. So the amount allocated to Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in two subsequent annual budgets is also proportionately much lower to cover the targeted 40% of the population of the country. And by saying this two subsequent annual budget, we mean that 2018-19 till 2019-20. So, all these weaknesses pose a threat to the ability of proposed reforms to meet their ambitious objectives by providing the impetus for like systematic reforms. Uh, you know, this scheme it presents the nation with a chance to tackle long-term and embedded shortcomings in governance, quality control, and stewardship. So now let's see what are the steps needed for the improvement of the schemes. So to improve the Ayushman Bharat scheme in India, several steps can be taken, and here are some recommendations in which first is enhanced awareness and outreach. So conducting extensive awareness campaigns to educate people about the benefits and coverage of the Ayushman Bharat scheme. So this can be one of the step. And also utilizing multiple communication channels including mass media, social media and community engagement programs to reach out to the target population. क्योंकि बहुत बार क्या होता है कि जिस population को हम लोग target कर रहे हैं, basically the vulnerable sections, so these people are not as much literate and educated to avail the scheme. And why? Because they are not the news of the scheme in itself is not reaching to their ears. And the next is strengthening infrastructure. So, improving the infrastructure, healthcare infrastructure, especially in both urban and rural areas, by increasing the number of healthcare facilities like hospitals and clinics, and also focusing on developing healthcare infrastructure in remote and undeserved regions, like ensuring equitable access to the quality healthcare and making available or availability of medical equipments like medicines and the essential supplies in healthcare facilities. Then ensuring the quality by implementing stringent quality control measures to ensure that the healthcare services provided under the Ayushman Bharat scheme meet the required standards, and also by regularly monitor and evaluate the performance of hospitals, like by evaluating the performance of the nearby hospitals and the healthcare providers also, to maintain the high quality care. And then establishment of mechanisms for feedback and grievance redressal to address any concerns or complaints from the beneficiaries. Then the next would be capacity building. So here, investing in training programs and skill development initiatives for healthcare professionals to enhance their clinical expertise and service delivery. Also, encouragement encouragement of continuous medical education and knowledge sharing among healthcare practitioners, and also by promoting specialization in areas of high demand such as critical care, emergency medicines, and primary healthcare. And then we have technology integration. Of course, in this digital world, we need this technological integration with the remote areas, like implementing robust health information systems and electronic medical records to like ensuring efficient data management and seamless coordination among the healthcare providers. And then we have collaboration and partnerships among, like, with private healthcare providers and pharmaceutical companies and non-profit organizations to expand the horizon, expand the reach and impact of Ayushman Bharat scheme. And then we have continuous evaluation and improvement, which is genuinely required to conduct regular evaluation and assessment to monitor the effectiveness and impact of Ayushman Bharat scheme. So, by implementing these steps, the Ayushman Bharat scheme can be strengthened and ensuring better healthcare access, improved quality of care, and enhanced health outcome for the people of India. So here I have just given one question from the previous year that UPSC has asked, just to give you an idea that what kind of question that we can get from a government scheme. So this is a scheme related to, effective implementation, to ensure effective implementation of policies addressing water, sanitation, and hygiene needs. The identification of beneficiary segment is to be synchronized with the anticipated outcomes. Here you have to examine the statement in the context of the WASH scheme. So यहाँ पे बोल रहा है कि effective implementation of policies, ठीक है, जो addressing water, sanitation, and hygiene needs. So identification of beneficiaries is to be synchronized with the anticipated outcomes. So in case of Ayushman Bharat scheme, हम लोगों ने देखा था कि वहाँ पर भी एक targeted section of society है जहां पर इस स्कीम को पहुंचाया, एक टारगेट बेसिस पे पहुंचाया जाना चाहता है गवर्नमेंट. तो यहाँ पर भी एक क्वेश्चन हो सकता है कि कैसे हम लोग एक टारगेटेड बेनिफिशियरीज तक इस स्कीम को और बेहतर तरीके से पहुंचाए, या फिर इसमें कोई लूप होल ना हो, कोई इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ना हो. सो examine the statement in the context of Ayushman Bharat scheme. So it can be presented in a similar manner. So yes, this was a complete discussion we all had. So thank you so much for your time and patience, and this is our website and contact. So this PDF will be uploaded on our website, and if you guys have any kind of queries or doubts, please reach out to us. So thank you so much for your time and patience.
Hello friends, welcome back to our channel IAS Help Desk. So today we are going to discuss on maternal mortality in India, and this topic is the continuation of the series that we have already started for the government schemes. And now this topic, it is relevant from mainly mains perspective. Also we can expect objective questions in prelims as well. So while moving forward, let's look into some previous year questions to get an idea about how to use this topic. And बहुत बार क्या होता है कि we don't get direct questions from any of the topic that we have already prepared. So we have to make this habit of incorporating these points wherever it is relevant. So in this first question, it talks about analyzing how primary health structure is a necessary precondition for sustainable development. So here, like we can use the data of MMR, maternal mortality ratio, as an example. Example of what? Example to cite that due to positive development in primary healthcare, the recent MMR has declined, and as welfare of a society, it is directly related to the well-being of women, and their empowerment is in every sense. So this is how, by incorporating this point and the data of it, we can actually have an edge in our answer. And now if we move on to the next question, then it says, though women in post-independent India have excelled in various fields, the social attitude towards women and feminist movement has been patriarchal. Apart from women education and women empowerment schemes, what interventions can help change this milieu? So here we can write that improved maternal health benefits the entire society, and so the importance is given in sustainable development goal, and goal in point number 3.1. So इस तरह से, like, you are justifying your point also, that it is not just I am telling, it is something written in sustainable development goal SDG. And again in question number 3 if we see, तो यहाँ पर डायरेक्टली ही पूछ रहा है that in order to enhance the prospects social development, sound and adequate healthcare policies are needed, so particularly in the field of geriatric and maternal care. So the meaning of geriatric means older or elderly people. So it is saying to discuss. So I guess it is understood to everyone now that how to prepare any topic. Maybe it's not connected directly to the question, so you have to have a habit of incorporating your points wherever you feel you're getting a chance and opportunity to enhance your answers. Now let's move on that why this was in news recently. So recently, as per the latest data which was released by the Office of the Registrar General of India, it says that India has improved its maternal mortality ratio. And how it has improved? It has reduced the number of deaths to 97 per lakh in 2018 to 20 from 103 deaths per lakh in 2017 and 19. Okay, now let me tell you briefly how maternal mortality ratio is calculated. So the data for 3 years is taken, means 3 साल का डेटा लेकर 1 लाख पॉपुलेशन पे कैलकुलेट किया जाता है, and per lakh, which means in 1 lakh 97 deaths occurred, and this figure has reduced in recent years as in comparison to previous years. यानी कि पहले जहाँ 103 डेथ होते थे in 2017 and 2019 के डेटा में, now it has reduced to 97. So this itself is an achievement for India, because इंडिया के नेशनल हेल्थ पॉलिसी में इंडिया का ये टारगेट था टू अचीव इट बिफोर 2030 टू रिड्यूस द डेथ below 100. So India has achieved it not only below 100, it has come down to 97, and that too in 2023. And that is why India can look forward to achieve the sustainable development goal, which is 70 per lakh live births by 2030. So this is obviously for an achievement for India and a good news. So now let's understand what is maternal mortality ratio, and these are something that these are the bullets or points that we are going to cover throughout our discussion. And in that, first is what is maternal mortality ratio. I'll be discussing it, and why it is calculated, what is the importance of it to calculate, and what is the current status, what are the states that are having highest number of death in this maternal ratio, and what are the steps are needed to be taken. So now, what is maternal mortality ratio? It is the annual number of female deaths per lakh live birth from any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management. And by this, it is specifically mentioned that the death related only due to pregnancy, that is, issues related to pregnancy. Apart from that, no other, like excluding accidental or incidental causes. So, it only includes death during pregnancy or childbirth or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of duration and site of pregnancy for a particular year. Acha, how it is different from maternal mortality rate? As WHO defines, the World Health Organization says the death of a woman while pregnant or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, that means कि अगर कोई महिला प्रेग्नेंट है और उसके प्रेगनेंसी टर्मिनेट होने के 42 डेज के बाद अगर उसकी डेथ होती है एंड दैट टू प्रेगनेंसी रिलेटेड इश्यूज की वजह से, then that is considered as that data is being recorded as maternal mortality rate, which is different from maternal mortality ratio. Okay, now let's move on why maternal mortality ratio is calculated. So it is important to know that what is the reproductive health of women in our country. Also, the maternal mortality ratio, it is the key indicator of health and socio-economic development. And the maternal health and newborn health are closely linked. How it is linked, we'll discuss it later. Also, under Sustainable Development Goal, reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 death per lakh is one of its goals. That means the importance is being highlighted at global level, not only at national or policy level. Now let's see what is the current status of maternal health in some particular states. So as we can see, data wise, states in southern region have performed well, and especially Kerala. It has improved way beyond the national average. And in the contrast of which we can see states like Madhya Pradesh with 173 number of deaths in per lakh, and then Uttar Pradesh. So you can see the data here. Uttar Pradesh with 167 number of deaths, and likewise. So what has led to such large number of maternal death? Let's see for higher number of maternal mortality ratio. So here are some causes. So there are various reasons for death of women during their reproductive age, and among them one would be severe bleeding, and then infections, high blood pressure during pregnancy, and then complications from delivery and unsafe abortion. Also, studies have shown that most deaths can be controlled and are curable if proper treatment is provided on time, which is possible by institutionalized delivery. So, what are the factors that prevent women from receiving or seeking care during pregnancy and childbirth? We can see that first would be the health system failures. हेल्थ सिस्टम फेलियर्स का मतलब कि डॉक्टर से लेकर हॉस्पिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, स्टाफ अवेलेबिलिटी, टेक्निकलिटी, ये सारी जितने फैक्टर्स का अवेलेबल ना हो पाना और अवेलेबल होने के बावजूद एक्सेस ना कर पाना, everything that leads to mismanagement or non-availability of resources for women. And then the social determinants, that is the social factor, would be first including income. Obviously, this is something basic treatment that shouldn't be allowed as a load on someone's pocket. And then access to education. Of course, why access to education? Because lack of education, it adversely affects women's health by limiting their knowledge about nutrition, birth spacing, and contraception. So now let's see some of the government initiatives that targets in implementing and improving the maternal mortality ratio and focuses mainly on maternal and child health. So the emphasis has been on ensuring a continuum of care to address maternal and child health in a holistic manner. How? Holistic manner, by which we mean that providing excellent healthcare facilities to pregnant women right from the very early stage of pregnancy to postpartum care. So the schemes have been designed keeping in mind the requirement of a range of medical facilities, right from testing and regular checkups to facilities from smooth delivery and further on like postnatal care of both mother and child. So the first scheme would be Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. In this, the target is to improve the quality and coverage of diagnostics and counseling services, along with the assured, comprehensive, and quality antenatal care free of cost. And then Poshan Abhiyan, in which the target is for children and pregnant women and also lactating mothers to create awareness about nutrition. And likewise, the next scheme is Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana. Here, the cash benefits are provided to pregnant women in their bank account directly so that they can meet the enhanced nutritional needs and partially compensate for wage loss. So, likewise, there are several other schemes and initiatives taken by the government. So, you guys can just go through this PDF, which will be uploaded on our website. So, as we can see, these initiatives by the government of India have definitely played an important role in increasing the number of institutional deliveries in the country. So, what we have seen is, despite notable progress in recent years, the country continues to face challenges in ensuring safe and healthy pregnancies for women. So, what are the efforts that can be taken and addressed to have a better maternal mortality? Now, let's focus on some way forwards. So, the first would be strengthening the healthcare infrastructure, especially in regions of states like Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, where we saw the maternal mortality ratio, the number of death is very high. And then there should be availability of skilled healthcare professionals, and after that a channelized investment is required in comprehensive reproductive and maternal healthcare. And then very important one is promoting education and awareness not only in reproductive health but also for family planning. And then collaborations among the government agencies and healthcare providers like the various NGOs along with the international agencies, all these can uplift the altogether initiatives to a different level. So, till now, what we have learnt is addressing maternal mortality in India. It is not only a matter of healthcare but also a fundamental human right issue. So, every woman has a right to a safe and healthy pregnancy and childbirth, and it is the collective responsibility of society also to ensure that this right is upheld. And by prioritizing maternal health, investing in comprehensive health care, and tackling the underlying socio-economic and cultural factors, India and its society both can make significant strides in reducing maternal mortality. So yes, I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and you can find the PDF of this video on our website, the link of which will be mentioned in the description box. So thank you so much for your time and patience.